Welcome to today's episode of the Gavel Drops, and we're back after a short break with no other than Steve Bell from the Commercial Property Experts. Hi, Steve. How's it going, mate?
Hi, Ray. Yeah, very good. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. How's the world of commercial going at the moment?
It's busy at the moment. I seem to be dealing with all sorts of weird and wonderful things coming across my desk, and everybody's got lots of questions at the moment. So I'll be interested to see what questions you've got for me, Ray. But certainly, I'm pretty sure I've probably had stranger questions than you've got written down for me today.
There'll be a few questions that you'll be going, oh, don't know about that one, but I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it all. So, Steve, you've been in commercial property for 25 plus years. What first pulled you into the industry?
I'll be pretty honest, Ray. I did an apprenticeship working at 𝗴𝗵𝗹𝗃, and my apprenticeship came to an end at the turn of the millennium, and it was at the time that BMW were pulling out. So there wasn't a job for me, so I had a look around to see what the options were, and I thought, oh, I'll have a look at estate agency, and that's how I got into it. So I started at a residential agency in Coventry, and spent a bit of time there, and then moved over to the world of commercial and discovered that the marketing standards and so on in commercial weren't quite as high as they are in residential. So I thought, well, we need to look at improving that, see if we can get commercial up to the same sort of standard as residential clients expect.
So did the commercial side attract you more? Because what attracted you more to that commercial side of the business than the estate agents than the residential?
Initially, the thing that attracted me, I loved the job. When I was doing residential, I loved that. However, I was seeing colleagues that dealt with commercial who didn't work weekends, and I thought, oh, that's all right. The opportunity came to move over to an estate agency model which didn't involve working weekends. And I've always been available to my clients any day of the week, Saturdays, Sundays, no problem. However, I can count on one hand in the last 5 years the number of phone calls that I've had from a client on a weekend, because most of my clients are busy wanting to spend time with their families, because of course it's a commercial decision, isn't it? With commercial property, we're not dealing with people's houses. So in the world of residential, your busiest days are a Saturday and Sunday, but in the world of commercial, none of my clients want to talk to me at a weekend, which is all right. It frees up my time to go and watch Coventry City and my son play football. So
sounds like the ideal solution. So you've worn a lot of hats in property. What role or moment shaped you the most early on?
Oh, crikey. That's a tough question, Ray. I would probably say the thing that excited me most was when I was selling petrol stations. And I'd never really thought about petrol stations changing hands even, never mind being at all interesting. But the business model for a petrol station is actually really fascinating. So it was getting involved in selling petrol stations, finding out how the businesses work and what they're worth, and that I would say is probably the thing that's affected me the most over my 25 years in property.
Selling petrol stations. What's something about you outside of property that people wouldn't expect?
I used to teach salsa dancing, and I met my wife salsa dancing. So I taught salsa for the best part of 15 years, and I was launching a new salsa event in Northampton, and my wife was the first person to walk into the first night of that event. So I said to the guy I was teaching with, I'm going to marry her, or words to that effect. And sure enough, 2 years later, I did.
So salsa brought you together. I've never seen you do any moves on any of the MD offsites yet, but I'm sure that's willing.
I'm sure it's coming. It kind of got knocked on the head when we had our first baby. So when our daughter was born, all of a sudden the idea of me being out and about dancing in bars until midnight every night of the week started to be a less appealing concept to our household. So.
To your household. So you recently published your book, The Loyalty Lie.
I did indeed.
Why a traditional agency holds you back. What made you write it?
Probably the same thing that led to the creation of the Commercial Property Experts. Having spent so long working within other people's businesses, building other people's dreams and the such like, I started thinking, well, there's got to be a better way. So the Loyalty Lie, really, it's sort of the story of my career. It's sort of going through different experiences that I've had and that I'm absolutely certain that other people working in property have had. It doesn't have to be in commercial, but residential, even in the world of auctions, right? And when you're working for somebody else, you're working to their rules. They're telling you where you've got to be and when. And a lot of the time, the people actually setting these rules and setting the processes haven't actually done the job themselves on the front line for quite a number of years. So I was finding myself in situations where I was being told that I've got to do this or I've got to do that. And I knew that it wasn't working. So I thought, well, if I didn't do that, you know, the old 80-20 rule, the 20% of what you do makes 80% of your income.
Yeah.
I thought, well, if there must be a better way where I haven't got to just do these silly tasks that don't actually move the needle anywhere and focus on the things that do actually work, then I'd be happier. And so that's what the Loyalty Lie is all about, really. It's showing people that there is a better way. They don't have to be sat building somebody else's brand. They can build their own brand and have the freedom and have the space and the time, and more importantly, see a much bigger proportion of the income that they're generating for the business coming to themselves rather than someone else.
So who did you write it for? Was there a particular moment when you thought people need to hear this? What made you go back? Said, you know what?
Yeah, I was. I took part in a LinkedIn challenge earlier in the year, and basically we were given a series of things. I think it was 40 days we had to post every single day onto LinkedIn for, and there were a series of ideas of things that we could do. And one of those things was advice to yourself 10 years ago. So I was thinking about it, and so I wrote a piece about what I would have said to myself 10 years ago. And it was only, I don't know, probably 50 or 60 words in total, the post. But I started thinking about it and I thought, do you know what? There's a lot of advice that I would have liked to have heard 10 years ago, whereby I wouldn't have spent the last 10 years building other people's businesses, helping other people to become rich off the back of my work. So I thought, do you know what? There's got to be more to this. So it started out. I was going to write it as a blog piece, but it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So it turned into a 10-chapter book, all about how it is possible to get that freedom whilst working in property.
Well, but to be fair, I think that's the key, isn't it? People use that book as a kind of guide to actually realise what the potential is.
Yeah, I mean,
in the industry.
I've spoken to 3 or 4 people who have read the book, and they have subsequently they've left their jobs. One's gone off to go and work over in Dubai as a self-employed residential agent. Another guy's left his job up in Scotland and gone out on his own, working with another friend of him, specialising in a very, very niche sort of section of the property industry. And it's so. It isn't the book isn't all about why people should come and join the Commercial Property Experts, although if they want to, then brilliant. But it's about helping people to get that freedom and giving them the confidence to know that it can be done.
And giving them probably the confidence, isn't it, to make that leap. So you challenge the traditional model quite directly in the book. What's the core idea that you hope lands with every reader? What's the main focus of the book?
I think the main focus of the book is absolutely stop building other people's brands. You are the person that people trust. When you're dealing with your clients, they're dealing with you. You're the person who signs them up. It's not the brand name that's persuading people that you're the person to deal with. It's you. So if you are the person that people want to deal with, it doesn't matter what the brand name is behind them. You can build your own brand. You can get your face out there. You can be the one making the decisions in how your career transforms. You don't need to sit and wait for every Christmas and every June where you have a meeting with your manager who's saying, well, we're going to put your target up this year, but we're not really going to give you a pay rise. And if you hit this target, then we'll give you a promotion or whatever. Take charge. Be your own boss. Decide your own future.
And kind of take ownership of where you want to be and what you want to do. So going from employed to self-employed, that's the main core reasons why people don't make the leap, isn't it? It's that they think in security or possibly, I haven't got that wage. So how have you transitioned from that? How was it? How would you tell someone now the difference between the two of what you've come across over the last?
I was speaking to a guy the other week, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, but I've got this safety net of a salary, and if I go self-employed, what happens if I don't invoice anything for 3 months? Because then I won't be earning anything." And I said, "All right, well, you're being paid a wage now. What happens if you don't invoice anything for 3 months now? How long do you think you're going to keep that job if you're not invoicing anything for the next 3 months? You're not just going to be paid to sit there and not do invoicing. So that safety net isn't really there. It's a fugazi, really. It's not real, because you have no more security in a sales job where you've got a salary than you have in a sales job where you haven't, and you take a much bigger cut of the commission. At the end of the day, if you are confident in your ability, if you know that you can go out, you can generate business, you can sell things, then stop waiting for somebody else to give you the permission to do it.
Yeah. So it's it's trying to change the mindset a little bit, isn't it? To not actually go, do you know what? I'm not busy today, but I need to be busy because it's my own business. So you said overpricing kills deals. Why do so many fall into the trap?
Oh, I think overpricing is just it is the scourge of the industry, and I don't think it matters whether it's residential or commercial or anything else. People fall into this trap. There are listers out there who are paid to put things on the market, and that's the point at which their job ends. If they put 10 things on the market, they get a bonus at the end of the month. If they put 15 things on the market or 20 things on the market, they get a bonus. And what's the easiest way to get people to just sign up if you haven't got to worry about actually selling it? The easiest way is to go out and tell people what they want to hear. Now, I would rather tell people the truth and disappoint them than have them think, oh yeah, he's wonderful because he says that this is worth £1 million more than the other guy said. Because then all it does is bring about problems further down the line. I'd rather have a tough conversation today about why something is worth this, go through the evidence with it, sort of thing. And ultimately, I very rarely tell people what their property is worth. We will go through the evidence and we'll sit down and we will compare it to what other transactions have happened. In commercial, it's very easy to find out on a price per square foot or whatever else, everything else that has happened locally, be it an industrial unit, an office or whatever. So the facts are there and you can see the trends. So we sit and we go through it with the people who own the properties, whether they're looking to rent it out or to sell it. What else has transacted recently in the area? And we can look at, well, then we can go, right, well, how does yours compare to this? How does yours compare to that? And we'll come to a sensible figure for where something should sit in the marketplace. But ultimately, if someone's being paid just to put some stuff on the market, it's only ever going to lead to problems, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that figure that they pluck out the air, isn't it? Compared to the figure that actually, the data never lies. And if you do analyze the data enough, you'll come up with the right price. It's whether you ignore the data because the sellers. Because I used to always, when I was an estate agent, I used to measure every valuation. And I remember the seller telling me, right, I haven't said I'd list it. And I was like, I know, I'm not saying you will, but how can I compare your house to something else if I don't know the sizes? As not for every other agent, measured it. No, they just come in and tell me what it's worth. I said, well, how do I know your house is smaller or bigger than the one that's 2 doors away? Because every seller believes their house is the biggest on the street, even though it could be a row of terraces.
Absolutely. I remember, I tell you, the two things that always crack me up is the number of people who've told me that their house was built by the builder for themselves to live in, sort of thing. Oh, the builder built this one for himself, so it's slightly bigger than everything else, or it's got a bigger garden than all the other ones. And I remember a description that I saw for a house, and it was described as a unique mid-terrace property. And I was like, well, it's exactly the same as the other three in the row of terraces. It's just, the way these things are worded.
I remember the seller saying, no, Ray, mine is bigger. Because I was in number 5, whatever it is, at Christmas 2000. And we were having a party, and their kitchen's smaller than mine. And I'm like, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same house as the terrace. You haven't extended it. It's just that you'd had a few too many sherries, and you thought it was smaller than what it was. So, you help people sell smarter. What's the first blind spot most sellers have?
Well, the first thing that you've got to overcome is getting into reality with the marketplace, isn't it? Ultimately, we go through. We will find where the property should sit in the marketplace, and I tend to favour going down the route of an offers over basis. So we'll pitch it slightly below the market. Not to say that it's, I mean, not really. We don't put stuff that's worth £100,000 on for £5,000. But if we think it's going to settle somewhere around about 100,000, we'd pitch it something like offers over 90 or offers over 95, because it'll appear to more people. And in commercial, we run a thing called a showcase viewing. And it's a bit like an open house. So open houses in residential, you know how it works. You advertise it's an open house, and people whose budget is up to the figure that it's on for come and have a look, as well as people who look at it and think, wow, that looks like a bargain. That looks a lot cheaper than the other ones that I'm looking at. And so you get more people in there at a time. And it works exactly the same in commercial. So we have a showcase viewing, and it's getting across to the seller, really, the best way to market something, because you can't just take a photograph of something and stick it on the internet and hope that people are going to come to it. You've got an entire marketing process that has to happen around a property if you want it to be seen by enough people. Because ultimately, as you know from auctions, Ray, it's all well and good having one person interested in something. The value is driven when you've got 2 or more. So the more people we can get to see it, the more people we can get to come and look at it, that's the way they're going to get the best price and the best deal for them, whether that's timescales or price or anything else. So really, I think it's the whole sort of pitching it and marketing it in the right way. So there are agents out there who will come around, they'll give them a crazy high price. They'll say, we won't charge you anything up front and we'll do it for 1%. But the service they're going to get is they'll have a photo taken on their mobile phone, be stuck on the internet, and the agent's going to sit there and wait for the phone to ring. So it's combating that sort of mindset, thinking of that the cheaper agent is actually the cheaper agent, if that makes sense.
I think the cheaper agent sometimes works out the most expensive, isn't it? That's just a common. And I think we're in the auction space, I always say to the sellers is, everyone wants what everyone else wants. No one wants what no one wants. If no one comes to view it, no one wants it. Now, if you've got 5 people who come to view it, who actually go, I want this, are they going to pay the premium more because the other people want it? It's that feeling, isn't it, and it's in everyone, no matter what they say. It's the natural instinct of winning. If you win a bid, or well, I know it was on or offers over 95, but I got it for 101. But I know some other people were interested, but I bought it in the end.
Exactly.
If deep down, even if you think you've overpaid for it, the feeling of winning will always go, yeah, but I still won it. I may have paid a bit more than it should have, but I'll get that back, but I still won. And we get it all the time in the auction. I had a lady the other day, and she was like, I had to ring my mum to ask for another 10 grand because I didn't have enough money. But I won it though, didn't I, Ray? And I was like, well, you won the bid. But it's how they feel, isn't it? Rather than anything else.
But I think you're absolutely right about the people wanting what other people want and people liking what other people like. I have this conversation. The music that my son listens to, I describe it as the Emperor's New Clothes. Him and his mates all go absolutely mad about it. But I listen to it, and it's absolute rubbish. But you see the number of people that are listening to it, but it's because obviously somebody has put the idea into their heads. I mean, my son's 11, so obviously it's a slightly different way of creating that sort of demand within that particular audience. But because so many people like it, I don't believe for a moment that everybody who claims to like it really likes it. But it's the Emperor's New Clothes. No one wants to be the person who goes, oh, I don't like that. So, yeah, the more people you can convince to like something, the more people will like it and want it, even if they don't really want it.
Yeah, it's that competitiveness that as well that draws people into crazy things. Right. So, right.
I'll just stop you there as well, Ray. Sorry for a second. I had a situation with a retail unit that I put on the market up in Nottinghamshire recently. You commented on it as well, saying, "Oh, well, that looks like an auction lot to me."
Oh, I've seen that one. Yeah, I want that one myself.
I put that on the market, and I had within a week, I'd had 12 phone calls on it. 10 of which were telling me it's ridiculous, no one's going to buy that, who on earth's going to pay that money for it? And 2 of them were making offers on it, and we sold it for the asking price. So
it always baffles me when someone rings up to tell you your listing is overpriced. So wait there, you've seen it, you thought it was overpriced, so why haven't you just carried on? Why have you then choose to ring to tell me it's overpriced? I've had it in the past where people go, if they don't accept me pre-auction offer, I won't bid. Okay. Don't bid then. There's nothing I can do. They won't take a pre-auction offer. And then that person's gone on to buy it in the end. So from 25 years in the game, what's the one recurring mistake agents, sellers make, and how would you fix it?
I think the one mistake that agents make is undervaluing themselves. I think all too often there are good agents out there who think that the only way they're ever going to be successful is to undercut everybody else's fees because that's all people listen to. But it isn't. So from an agent's perspective, back yourself. Really make sure that you know everything there is to know about what it is that you're dealing with, and go out there and be yourself, and you will find that people will want to deal with you if you can get out there and show people that you really do know what you're talking about. So from an agent's perspective, it's undervaluing themselves. And I think from a seller's perspective, it's probably again, it's probably there are too many sellers out there who just accept substandard services from agents because they're out there and they just assume everybody's the same. So, well, I'm just going to pay a 1% fee because you're all the same anyway, and there's no difference. And yet somehow you see that there are properties that sit on the market for months and months, and in some cases years, and don't sell or don't let. And then there are other properties that go on the market with other agents where they get absolutely flooded with interest immediately. So the role of an agent is a lot more than just sticking a picture on the internet. A good agent they're worth their weight in gold. So
Yeah, they can transform into something. So, what does a typical day look like for you now?
oh blimey. the typical day thing, Ray. There's no such thing as a typical day in property. But generally, I get up about 6 o'clock in the morning. I take the dogs out for a walk. Every other day, I'll go for a run after doing that. Get the kids packed off to school. I've got a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old, so we have one of them jumps out of bed as soon as they're woken up. The other one takes a little bit more persuasion, so that's it's always it can be a bit of a battle some mornings. And then I'll stick my laptop on and go through emails that have come in overnight, go through things from other agents, things from clients, requests for things. But generally speaking, I try to structure my day where in the morning I will sort of attend my business, as it were. I will deal with meetings, I'll deal with emails and all that sort of things. And then in the afternoon, I'll go out and create the business, doing appointments, seeing people, and so on. So, yeah, if it's an internal meeting or whatever, I tend to stick them in the morning. If I'm seeing a client, I tend to put that in the afternoon. And yeah, so I get out and about. I'd say I'm Nottinghamshire. I've been down to Hastings to go and look at things that are down there. So there really isn't a typical day. It's a lot of time in my car, a lot of time sat on my laptop, and a huge amount of my time just having conversations with people.
What part of your process would surprise most people in the commercial sector?
Oh wow! Would surprise other agents or would surprise clients?
Surprise clients.
I think probably just the amount of work involved in setting up a listing. I think, as I say, I think people assume that once you've signed the paperwork, it's just a 5-minute job. But writing scripts for reels or video tours, all this kind of stuff, it all takes time and so on. And I think from a client's perspective, they'd be surprised at just how much is involved in putting together a proper marketing campaign in order to attract the right type of people out there to look at it.
Right. So when things don't go to plan, and in property they can do quite often, how do you reset and refocus?
So for me, you're right. Things do go wrong. It's especially, I mean, in the auction world, it's slightly different. In my world, there are so many people involved in a transaction because you've got buyer and seller, or landlord and tenant. You've got 2 solicitors. Quite often there's a finance broker of some description. There's me as an agent, and sometimes there'll be an agent acting for the buyer or tenant sort of thing as well. So there's so many different people, so many different moving parts. There's always a risk that something is going to happen that is going to... Sorry, my phone just ringing there. There's always a risk that something's going to happen, that someone's going to do something that someone else isn't going to be happy with. Someone's timescales are going to move, and yeah, it's all going to create havoc. So for me, I try not to get too attached. I never count my chickens before they're hatched. However, there's always that time, isn't there, Ray, when you, for one reason or another, a particular deal falls through and it really knocks you for 6. Probably for me, a little bit of reading. I'll go for a walk. I'll take the dogs out for a walk. I mean, it's absolutely chucking it down with rain today, so I'm really hoping I don't have to go for a walk at any point later today. But yeah, just get out, get some fresh air, and just take half an hour away from things. And invariably, if you react too soon to a situation, you're not going to react well to it. So remove yourself, go for a walk, get some fresh air, sit down, have a cup of tea, think about something else, and then come back to it and think, right, how do I approach this? Because all too often you see it, agents having blazing rows with other agents or solicitors and so on because something's happened and so on. So always take that breath, take that time just to sit and think, right, what can we do to resolve this? How are we going to move past this? So yeah, taking space and time, I think, probably.
100%. I seen a post from Paul, is it the sumo guy? He put on the other day saying everything should look at between 1 and 10. 10 is like, this is going to kill you. This is a matter of life and death. And 1 is, oh, it's not too bad. And where does it sit? And he said the majority of things, whether that be deals falling through or anything like that, they're nowhere near even a 5, are they? When you look at it in like detail. But it's that perception, isn't it, of, oh no, and then that where if you just take, as you say, take that half an hour, cup of tea, chocolate biscuit, just let your mind get away from it for a bit, or go for a walk, is absolutely golden advice for someone who's obviously in it at that moment in time. So what do you do outside of property to stay sharp or recharge?
So recharging, I'm a huge football fan. I love Coventry City, so I'm a season ticket holder at Coventry City. My son plays in 2 different football teams, so 2 evenings, sometimes 4 evenings a week, depending on which point of the season it is. We have football coaching that we go to with him. He has a game every Saturday morning, a game every Sunday morning, commentary game. So football for me is my escape. It's I'd happily watch you and a mate kicking a football between you in a game of 1-on-1 sort of thing. It's my escape. I love watching it, and that is how I recharge. But also when I'm out and about and I'm walking the dogs every morning, I've got a podcast in my ears while I'm walking the dogs. I'm learning. I'm a member of the Tom Panos real estate gym, so I'll watch some of his videos and so on. I probably spend anything from 45 minutes to an hour a day learning and sort of working on myself and my own skills. And it's not always necessarily work related. There's all sorts of things that are useful to learn just generally. So 45 minutes to an hour a day of learning, and add into that also probably a good few hours a week watching football.
Sounds like, because you've done a lot this year, haven't you? And as you've done a lot of running. You started to go on, tell everyone about the transition.
Yeah, so I started the year at 17 stone, and I thought, right, I've got to do something about this. I can't carry on as I am. And then we went away in the summer, and we had a think about goal setting and what are we going to do, and not just in work, but in personal life as well. And I decided, as of the summer, that I was going to get down to 13 stone by Christmas. So I took up running. As I started on 𝘀'$5K. I've completed that. I'm now well into the follow-on runs and so on that they do. And I've got down from 17 stone to 14 stone. Really finding it a difficult task to get any further than that. Every time I'm getting on the scales, I'm like, well, there's another 0.02 of a pound gone. So it just doesn't seem to be moving now.
Winter months, isn't it? We're like, we start feeding ourselves in the winter months just in case winter sets in. We can't get the shop.
There, no, exactly. But yeah, so that's been quite good fun as well. So I never thought I'd enjoy running, but it's not too bad. Are you still doing it now?
Do you do it like every week? Is it or?
Yeah, so when you're doing the 𝘀'$5K, it's 3 times a week. Now I'm sort of, sometimes I'm getting out for 1 run a week. Sometimes it's 2. Sometimes it's 3. There was a day last week when I hadn't had a chance to get out in the morning. I like to get it done early doors. I'll do it in the morning, gets it out of the way. It's always nice to be sort of past your 10,000 steps by 9 o'clock in the morning, isn't it? If you could do that, then you spend all day feeling all smug and pleased with yourself. But I hadn't had a chance in the morning, and I was really feeling down. I was thinking, right, I've got to do something. I've got to go for a run. So we had dinner. I dropped my daughter off at her theatre group, and I came back and said, right, I'm going to go for a run now, which was a bit of a mistake because I was still feeding my dinner and so on. I was like, oh, crikey. But I thought, no, I'm going to go. I'll have a bash at it. Half a mile into it, I was like, oh, well, I'll take the next turning and head back home sort of thing. I'll cut it short. But as I got towards it, I thought, no, I'll carry on a little bit further. And I carried on a little bit further, and I carried on a little bit further, and I carried on a little bit further. And I wasn't setting any records for pace. It was not a quick run. In fact, I'd be confident that there are people out there who could probably have overtaken me walking. But I was running. But I actually managed to do, that was the furthest run that I've done so far. I didn't stop at 5K. I went to 7.5 kilometres. And again, there'll be people who would bash out 7.5 kilometres without even a moment's thought about it. But it was that psychological thing of, if I'm not going fast, I'm going to go far. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And as much as my stomach was very much sort of reminding me that it wasn't that long ago I'd had my dinner, I was like, no, I'm going to push through this. I'm going to push through it. And yeah, so that was my record distance so far. So,
mate, it's everything's the thing, isn't it? It's that just doing that little bit more gets you a lot after. You know what I mean? To keep on consistently doing that little bit more will get you to that point that you never, because when you look at it, when you started the run, probably, did you ever think you were going to get to your 7.5? Probably not.
No, absolutely not. I didn't think I'd get anywhere near 5K, to be honest, when I started the couch to 5K. So the first week, you run for 30 seconds, and then you walk for a minute, and then you run for 30 seconds, and then you walk for a minute. And then the second week, you're running for 3 minutes at a time. And I was like, blimey. And I was absolutely knackered by the end of each 3 minutes. And then the next week, it's running for 8 minutes at a time. I was like, there's not a chance am I going to manage that. And then I think it's about week 4 or 5, I looked at it, and all of a sudden, it was walk for 5 minutes, run for 25 minutes. And I was like, hang on a minute, where's this come from? And I was like, there's not a chance am I going to manage that. And I actually said to my wife before I went out, I was like, there's no way I'm completing this. But I did, and it's surprising. It's all about your mindset. So if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So yeah, just got to go out and think, actually, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it my all, and I reckon I can probably get there. And as I say, as with anything in life, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're absolutely spot on.
You've always got to try. Right, so let's do we'll end on a quick fire round. Favourite business book aside from your own?
Oh, apart from the loyalty lie. Probably Obvious Adams. It's a book about marketing. It's not very long, and the first few pages of it, you'll think, what on earth is this? But ultimately, it's absolutely fantastic. Well worth a read.
Go-to drink after a good deal?
Probably. What I would like it to be is Theakston's Old Peculiar, because I love that. But I have dramatically cut down on my alcohol intake, so it's probably as likely to be a mug of tea now as anything else.
Is anything else? Okay. Favourite holiday destination? First, favourite holiday destination you've ever been on?
You're going to think I'm very sad here, Ray, but Scarborough. I absolutely love North Yorkshire.
It's not at all. And where's one place you still want to go on your bucket list?
I really want to go to Adelaide. I really want to go to Australia. It's a tough sell in my household because the rest of my family, and to be fair, me a little bit as well, but we're all slightly concerned about the fact that all of the fauna in Australia wants to kill you. So there's a bit of reluctance about actually going. But yeah, I'm desperate to go and see Adelaide. So I love the fact that it's got a park in each corner and one in the middle. I think, sounds wonderful.
If your work week had a flavour, what would it be?
It probably be a cooked breakfast. There's lots of different types of things in there, but yeah, probably a full English breakfast.
Full English. And one tip every property entrepreneur should know.
Oh, blimey! One tip: telling the truth. At the end of the day, deal with people who are going to tell you the truth and tell people the truth.
That's a great one, to be fair. Right, and then final words. If someone's stuck, burnt out, or doubting themselves in property, what's your message to them?
It's going to depend why they're feeling stuck and burnt out. But if it's because they're feeling like a hamster in a wheel, going round and round and round, doing the same repetitive tasks and never seeming to achieve anything, then my advice to them would be back yourself. Stop working within somebody else's environment. Create your own environment to work in. Back yourself. Take that leap and get out and do it for yourself.
That's it. So, there's a few people on the Gavel Drops. You may have, if you've watched the episodes, at the end of each episode, they like to give us a sing song. So I know you're a good singer, Steve, so go on. Pick the song that's going to finish your Gavel Drops episode and give us a blast.
Oh, blimey. Okay. Right. Do you want me just to burst into it? And how long are you wanting out of this, Ray?
Only a short burst, do you know what I mean? Because this time next year it could be on the, what is it, the X Factor, or is that gone? But yeah, just a short burst.
There you go.
On the episode.
Right, there you go. I'll clear my throat. So, oh, we're halfway there. Oh, living on a prayer. There you go, that here.
That's it. That's perfect. And that ends Steve Bell's The Gavel Drops episode completed.